The Admiral John B. Hayes Award is presented to the unit within the Coast Guard Pacific area that, by its overall achievement, best demonstrates the commitment to excellence and professionalism embodied in the finest traditions of the Coast Guard. Group and Air Station Astoria, Oregon, and its subordinate units, Station Tillamook, Oregon, and the Aids to Navigation Team Astoria are this year's recipients of the Admiral Hayes Award for their outstanding performance during the Pacific Northwest flooding of December 2007. The Great Coastal Gale of 2007 were a series of storms that swept across Oregon and Washington state. The December 2nd and the 3rd storms produced hurricane-force wind gusts of up to 137 miles an hour on the Washington coast and 129 miles an hour on the Oregon coast. The storm also brought heavy rains and produced widespread record flooding throughout the region and was blamed for at least 18 deaths.
It's the first time in history that the National Weather Service declared hurricane-force winds north of the 45th parallel. We had winds in excess of 100 miles an hour for 36 continuous hours, and it was a week we will not forget. And this community would not have survived without our partner, the United States Coast Guard.
We worked day into night, so once the sun set, it was a lot more challenging because you had a lot of there were unlit towers and just the tall trees and power lines everywhere that you didn't know about. We were able to fly over the area a little bit during the day, but it was still challenging because we worked a lot of different areas.
Saw was, it was a lot like the Katrina style of hoisting, and people were on their roofs, and we had picked up a sheriff's deputy who had radio contact with the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, and they gave us GPS reports of different addresses that people would call in and said, hey, we need to get evacuated. We pulled people off of roofs. We went into houses that were inundated with floodwaters and pulled them out of houses.
In addition to handling their Coast Guard duties, these members and their families were also impacted heavily by the storm. We asked how they coped, knowing they had to respond while their own families were still in danger from the storm.
That's kind of like a double-edged sword, with my family-wise. When I was at home, during the main part of the storm, it was Monday when the main part of the storm was hitting, and we were at home. We had no power. I have a wife and 2 kids, and trying to explain to my wife that I got to get into work. I need to go check in to see what's going on. Knowing with the storm that things are going to happen, and my wife just kind of asking me why you have to go in, and trying to explain to her why. And then by the time I get into work and they tell me, hey, you need to get on a helicopter and go. It's tough because at one point you're really amped, you're really excited, you want to get out there, you want to help people. You get inside the helo, you start flying out, and you start realizing, man, I just left my family behind and the storm's not over. And you hope that they're going to be doing fine, but you work with them and they know what they need to do, and you tell them what they need to do, and you trust that everything's going to be fine.
So we moved the family out here, and my wife she cooked supper for the whole crew that night, and it was kind of nice because we had all the materials that we needed to do that and power. And I just basically told the unit, hey, I'm here. I wasn't on duty that night. I said, but if you need me, I'll be more than ready to go.
Sure. There's about 105 housing units here in Astoria, and within the housing area, families banded together, wives, mothers, fathers prepared food for each other and really gave each other a lot of strength. They also came down here to the group offices and fed people who were on watch and lent them support here. So it was a real community effort, and everybody was involved in it.
The storm may have tested our service members, but in the end only served to strengthen relationships between the Coast Guard and the local communities it serves.
The entire Coast Guard, not just the air station, the alert crew came downtown Astoria, the entire crew, cleaned up all the debris, shingles, broken glass. They brought chainsaws, they cut their way to our water system, and it was really spectacular. The United States Coast Guard was truly heroic. Astoria is my hometown. I was born and raised here. Astoria is a better place to live because of the United States Coast Guard.